Okay, so we live. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so we're here with my brother, Prince Lewis, and he's here to discuss his new book. So I'm gonna give him the floor.
Islam, Alhamdulillah, Udullah min shaitan rajim. Bismillah Rahman Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the especially merciful. I bear witness there's no God but Allah, that Muhammad is his messenger. And I seek represent Allah from there's my own ego. Islam, Rabbi Lewis, aka Louis Islam. I'm to be on the Lions Den. A little bit about me. I'm heavy's the head that wears the crown. I'm a man of many hats myself, I got a background in investment banking, social media marketing, parasitology, being a student of late Dr. Howard Clark, and Arabic studies, and nationally I'm a published author. I've written over 30 books myself. Very passionate about education, very passionate about academia. Yeah, honor.
Great, great, great. Okay, so tell us a little bit about the book. And
So I'm here to talk. Yeah, this khutbah. Khutbah
where
is Arabic word for this khutbah. Khutbah is like Arabic word for dissertation. This khutbah is about I'm a Muslim, by the way. She is sect. My new book I just finished yesterday. It's called Christianity or Paulianity: Contradictions in Paul's Writing Exposed, which is essentially, in a nutshell, debunking the Apostle Paul's of Tarsus' letters.
you was kind of messing up a little bit at the end. So what was you saying?
Yeah, I said essentially this khutbah or this dissertation is the book is called Christianity or Paulianity: Contradictions in Paul's Writings Exposed, which is essentially debunking Apostle Paul of Tarsus' letters in the New Testament.
Okay, a little more.
Yeah, so in the book I give you over 100 clear contradictions from Paul's writings in comparison to the words of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, and much more. So I'll give you a couple contradictions from the book.
Sorry about that. Where can they find this book at?
Okay, yeah, it's on, excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah, excuse me. It's on Amazon.com. Just type in Rabbi Lewis. The book is called Christianity or Paulianity: Contradictions in Paul's Writings Exposed. It's 127 pages. It's the Kindle version is $9.99. The paperback is $20.
That's the only place they can find it at, or can they go and download it from anywhere else?
No, it's just Amazon right now.
Okay. And you also wrote a whole bunch of other books.
Yeah, I got 3 books on finance. I got other books as well.
Right,
But I want
right,
to talk about this book.
right. Okay, so tell us a little more about the book. Give us a
Yeah,
little.
so again, it's over. It definitely says. Mashallah, mashallah. So, like I said, this book is exposing Paul of Tarsus. So I give you a couple contradictions from the book. Get you to fill your appetite. All right. So Jesus of Nazareth condemned Paul. Well, Lewis, prove it. Let's prove it. So here's one of the headshots from the book, right? And it's a military term. I mean, opening the opening salvo in the book. Opening salvo is like a military term, right? But anyway, am I breaking up, sis?
You good now. You good.
Okay, great. So Paul was condemned by Jesus. Let's prove it. So Jesus said in his writings before he resurrected, he told the apostles, and he gave admonition to the apostles. He told them, if they tell you I'm in the desert, don't believe them, right? So what's the issue with that? Paul on the road to Damascus meets Jesus, right? Well, what's the issue with this here, Lewis? Well, Damascus is a desert. So Jesus told the apostles, he gave admonition to his followers, the Salihim, if they tell you I'm in the desert, don't believe them. But then Paul comes along and says that he met Jesus in Damascus, which is a desert. Yeah. So again, let's recap. Jesus tells his admonition to his followers, if they tell you that I'm in the desert, don't believe them. And then Paul comes along and says he met Jesus on the road to Damascus in a vision, and Damascus is a desert. So Jesus condemns Paul right in the Gospels. Again, he told his followers, if they tell you I'm in the desert, don't believe them. Then Paul comes along and says he met Jesus in the desert in Damascus. Do some research. Damascus is a desert. So Paul was condemned by Jesus right there. But let's give you more, right? Am I coming through good?
Yep, you good. You good.
Yeah, so Jesus condemned Paul in his writings. If they tell him in the desert, don't believe them. And then Paul comes along and says he met Jesus in Damascus, which is a desert. So you see, Jesus condemns Paul. Let's give you more. The church of Ephesus rejected Paul. Then in Revelation, the 2nd chapter, I believe it is, Jesus writes letters to the church of Ephesus telling them how well they knew the false prophet that came to them. Who went to Ephesus besides Paul? So even in Revelation, Jesus condemns, he tells the church of Ephesus in Ephesians that how well they knew the false prophet that came to them, which was Paul. Let's give you more. Nobody calls this guy Paul an apostle but himself, and Barnabas and Luke. Because you got to remember, Luke and Barnabas were the followers of Paul. Nobody in any records calls him an apostle but himself and Luke and Barnabas. No other people in the Bible calls this guy an apostle. He was a self-styled apostle. So that's some of the opening statements from the book.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, a little appetizer. Yeah. So, yeah, that's very interesting. You got any more? A little bit more, a little bit more.
Of course, I got more. So, it says, the narrative says that Pontius Pilate, when Jesus of Nazareth was on trial by Pontius Pilate, he yielded to the crowd. The crowd convinced him to do it. And he said, his blood's not on my hand, right? If you want that story, right?
Right.
Well, we know this story is bogus because we read the works of Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews. Josephus was a first-century scholar, Jewish scholar. He wrote a book called Antiquities of the Jews. That Pilate was actually kicked out of Judea because he was so violent to the crowd. He used to beat people in the crowd. Like, he used to send soldiers to beat people up in the crowd. So Pilate would have never yielded to a crowd when he was renowned for beating people up in the crowds for opposing what he was saying. So again, this is in Josephus's work, which I give the quote my book. So Josephus would have never yielded to a crowd's sentiment when he was renowned. He was kicked out of Judea for being too harsh with the crowd because he was killing people in the crowd. He was sending soldiers to kill people in the crowd for denying what he was saying. But I got more. So if you read those, these letters are false. Furthermore, apparently Josephus mentions Jesus by name, right? Which is bogus because he thought Vespasian was the Messiah. But anyway, I got one more thing. You want to respond to that, sis?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I got more. I'll give you more, right?
Yes.
One narrative says, John the Baptist who baptized Jesus, right? It says, first we just, Pilate, it says that, there was two, it was two people on the cross next to Jesus who were robbers. But we know that can't be true because the Romans didn't crucify people for looting and robbing people. That was a punishment selected for insurrection. So why would there be two robbers next to Jesus on the cross when robbers would not be crucified? So the Bible says there was two thieves. There were two thieves on the cross next to Jesus, and they were thieves. They were being crucified for being thieves when the Romans didn't crucify people for that reason. So that shows the story's made up. But let's give you more. The guy gave you another contradiction. John the Baptist, right? Not John the Baptist, not the Revelator, right? Come on, coming through good.
Yeah, U.S.
John the Baptist proclaimed, he was in the womb. Him and 1 second. John the Baptist and Jesus' mother Mary were pregnant together, right? The Bible even says that the biblical narrative says that John the Baptist noticed that Jesus was the Messiah in the womb, actually, when he was in the womb of his mother, right? You familiar with that story, right?
Yes.
So in the Gospels, so the contradiction, Matthew in the book of Matthew and so forth, Acts, I believe, John the Baptist proclaims Jesus as the Christ. He's like, oh my God, he's the Christ is here. Like, he was ecstatic because like the Savior of the world is here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was ecstatic because the Savior of the world, the Messiah is here, right? The King of Israel, right? You with me?
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So he was so ecstatic because the King of Israel had was born. But then in the Gospel of Luke, they show the contradiction. John the Baptist at the end of his life, and he's locked up, and I believe it was John the Baptist. Oh, John, it was one of the other ones, and he he sends letters to the apostles saying, "Is Jesus the Christ?" So again, where's the contradiction? So one narrative, he's proclaiming Jesus as the Christ, right? And another narrative in Luke, he's sending letters to the apostles asking them, "Is this guy the real deal or not?" So it's either three things: either it's a contradiction, or he was schizophrenic, or he had dementia. There's only three options. Either this is a
Right.
contradiction. I'm sorry.
I
Huh?
said right.
Yeah. So either John the Baptist had dementia, either he was schizophrenic, or this is a contradiction. Because in one narrative, he's so happy that Jesus is here because the Christ has been revealed. In another narrative in Luke, he's sending letters to the apostles asking them, "Is this guy actually the Messiah or not?" So in one narrative, he's so short, he's proclaiming Christ is the Messiah in the world. And then in Luke, the Gospel of Luke, he's sending letters to the apostles asking them, "Is Jesus the Messiah or not?" Makes no sense, right? Headshot.
Right.
So
Yes.
either he had dementia, he was schizophrenic, or this is a contradiction. Because again, in a nutshell, I repeat it again because people say I talk fast. One narrative, John declares Jesus as the Messiah. He's happy as hell, excuse my language, that the Messiah has been revealed. And then in the Gospel of Luke, he's sending letters to the apostles asking them, "Is Jesus even the real Messiah or not?" You see what I'm saying? Like, am I making sense?
I got you.
Yeah, so one narrative, he's proclaiming Jesus the Christ. He baptized him. He's saying this guy's the Messiah, and he's so happy that the Messiah's been revealed and all that. And then in Luke, the Gospel of Luke, he's sending letters to the apostles or whatever, saying, "Is this guy even the Messiah or not?" So either he was crazy, he had dementia, he was schizophrenic, or this is a contradiction. But that's just some of the hermeneutics from the book, and I got over 100 contradictions in the book. It's 127 pages, so I think more than that actually, and it's over 100 contradictions in the book.
Can you explain some of the contradictions in the book? Like,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
um,
sure.
do you have explanations for some of the contradictions?
Of course, yeah. I over. I just gave you 4 or 5 contradictions from the book, but there's over 100 in the book. Um, it's over 100. The narrative in the New Testament says that Jesus was on a donkey and what was it? Let me pull that up. Hold on, so I get it right. He was riding on 2 animals. But this is Matthew says this, but this is based on a mistranslation from the Torah, from the Tanakh. He didn't understand Hebrew, obviously, because let me see if I can find this. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. 1 second. He didn't understand Hebrew because he made a simple mistake that no Hebrews would okay, I found it. That no Hebrew scholar would have ever made that kind of mistake if he understood Hebrew. Although Eusebius did say that Matthew's writings were written in Aramaic. Okay, okay, I got it. It says in Matthew 21, 1 through 7, that Jesus was riding on 2 donkeys. Matthew 21, 1 through 7. What's the issue here? So it says in Matthew 21, 1 through 7, two animals are mentioned in 3 of the verses, so this can be explained away as a copying error, right? Matthew has Jesus writing on both animals at the same time. For verse 7, it says on them he sat, right? So in Matthew 21, 1 through 7, Jesus is writing on two animals. What's the issue here? This is a mistranslation from Zechariah 9 and 9 in the Tanakh. Zechariah 9 and 9, Matthew read Zechariah 9 and didn't understand the Hebrew idiom there. Zechariah 9 says, which reason part, mounted on a donkey and on a colt, the foal of a donkey, right? Matthew's quoting Matthew 21, he's quoting Zechariah 9 and 9, which says he was mounted on a donkey and on a colt, the foal of a donkey, right? But if you read that in, they show that Matthew didn't understand Hebrew. Whoever wrote Matthew probably was Greek. The translation there doesn't literally mean and, it means even. So whoever wrote Matthew did not understand the Hebrew context of Zechariah chapter 9, verse 9, where it says that he was on a donkey and on a colt. But the word there in Hebrew doesn't indicate another animal, but it's used in the sense of even, which is used in most translations. So whoever wrote Matthew didn't understand the Hebrew context of Zechariah chapter 9, verse 9. Here's some more. Hold on a second. We got more. Excuse me. I won't give the whole book away. This will be the last one I reveal. You can read the rest of the book.
You're right. That was good enough.
I'm sorry?
I said that was good enough.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Excuse me. My throat a little dry. Excuse me. Jesus on the cross, he said, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which means in Aramaic, my God, why have they forsaken me, right? So whoever was there was like, is he called on Elijah? Now, Eli means God in Aramaic. But they said, people that were listening said, well, like, he said, Eli, lama sabachthani. They're like, is he calling on Elijah? Now, why is it interesting? So he was saying Eli, they thought he was talking about Elijah, not God. Eli means God in Aramaic. And they thought he was talking about Elijah, the prophet, because they believed that before the Messiah came, that Elijah would be revealed again. Because the prophecy said in the Mikra, the Tanakh, in the writings, I believe, of the prophets, that before the Messiah would come, that Elijah will be revealed. Right? You familiar with that, right?
Right.
So they believed that before the Messiah would come, if Jesus was the true Messiah, Elijah would appear before him, right? So they actually said, "Oh my God, he's calling on Elijah," because they believed that when the Messiah would come, the projected Mashiach would come, like he would proclaim, Elijah would show up magically. You see what I'm saying? Hello?
Yeah, you broke up just a little bit, but I heard you. I was just saying if you was gonna break up again, but you stopped.
Yeah, okay, yeah. As I'm saying, he's on the cross. He said, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," and the people that would. I'm sorry.
I said, you sound good. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you. So sorry about that, guys. So they were like, is he calling on Elijah? Now, some people say they didn't understand what he was saying because they didn't speak Aramaic, but that's another hermeneutic. Some scholars assert that they said he thought he was talking about Elijah because they didn't understand Aramaic, because they didn't speak Aramaic. Other people say they were mocking him because according to the prophecy, one second. According to the prophecy in the Tanakh, when the Messiah would be revealed, Elijah would be revealed before he died. So they were like, if this guy's the real Messiah, Elijah's going to just magically pop out of the but I'll give you one more contradiction, which is interesting. Some scholars assert they didn't know Aramaic. This is why they said that he was talking about Elijah. Other people say he was being mocked. That's a matter of exegesis, right? Last contradiction I give you from the book. Matthew 26 and 15. It says the chief priest weighed out 30 pieces of silver to give Judas. Well, because remember, Judas was the one who betrayed Christ, right?
Right.
Matthew 26:15. But there's the only problem with that is it says Matthew 26:15. The chief priest weighed out 30 pieces of silver to give to Judas. There are two things wrong with this. What's the issue? Where it says they gave him 30 pieces of silver for betraying Jesus, right? There were no pieces of silver used as currency in Jesus' time. They had gone out of circulation about 300 years before. So when Judas lived, Iscariot lived, silver was no longer being used as a currency. So in the Bible, they give him 30 pieces of silver for portraying Christ, right? You see what I'm saying? But in the first century, when Judas Iscariot lived, silver was no longer being used as a currency. They been stopped using silver as a currency. There was no silver currency. You see what I'm saying? Am I making sense?
You broke up a little bit at the beginning of that. I was trying to tell you. So,
Oh, you can hear me now?
yeah, I can hear you clear. So when you started off, I couldn't understand you because it was breaking up. So what did you say at the beginning?
So Matthew, am I coming to good now?
Yes, you're doing good.
Okay, great. Matthew 26:15 says the chief priests, remember Judas Iscariot betrayed Christ, and they gave him 30 pieces of silver, right?
Gotcha.
So there were two things wrong with this. There were no pieces of silver used in currency in Jesus' time. They had gone out of circulation about 300 years before, right? Follow me?
Gotcha.
So when Judas Iscariot lived, silver wasn't even used as a currency anymore. They had been stopped using silver as a currency 300 years before. So how is Judas Iscariot getting 30 pieces of silver for betraying Christ when at the time silver was not even being used as a currency? So this story is obviously bogus. And I got about 80 other contradictions, but that should be enough. Again, the book is called it's over 80 contradictions I didn't give you, but that's just to wet your whistle. It's called Christianity or Paulinity, Contradictions in Paul's Writings Exposed. And again, there's over 80 more contradictions in the book, and I go into other topics as well, like some other stuff. Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yes, that's pretty much sums up. That's about 7 contradictions from the book. I got over 100 contradictions in the book. Check it out. Again, it's called Christianity or Paulinity, Contradictions of Paul Exposed. Excellent read. Must read for in your library.
Okay,
That's pretty much all I have
okay.
to say about that. Yeah.
What is? I think this is silver and the money back then. A silver mix. Do you understand that? Do you understand that question?
Yeah, I see it. I see it. It says, bro, okay, hold on. As bogus silver had been stopped using as a currency 300 years before that. Even in can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you. Sorry about that.
Even I have a background in investment banking. Even in America, before 1965, there was such a shortage on silver. Hold on. It was such a short after 1965 AD. There was such a shortage of silver that they stopped using silver in the coins minted. So, in fact, let me pull that up. They stopped using silver after 1965. So all the coins before 1965, it's called the Coin Act of 1965, right? It says, something interesting happened in 1964, right? In the early 1960s, supplies of silver in the United States dwindled to all-time lows. Therefore, the U.S. government decided to stop using silver in its coins after 1964. Any American dimes, quarters, half dollars, or dollar coins with a date of 1964 early contains 90% silver. So before 1965, all the American minted coins had 90% silver, right? You with me?
I'm following you.
So if the price of silver is $20 an ounce, that means these silver coins are worth 14 times their face value. So let me give you some perspective. A silver dime from 1964 before the Coin Act in 1965 will be worth $1.40. So a dime today, right? Like a dime, so say like a dime, 10 cents, right? If you would have had that before 1965, it would be worth $1.40. If you would have had a silver dollar, it would be worth $14. So if you had a silver dollar, which is like a dollar coin, right? Before 1965, that coin today would be worth $14. 14 times its value, because there's something called the Coin Act of 1965, which after 1965 in America they stopped using silver to make in their coins. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So before they called the Coin Act of 1965. You can find this in my other book called How to Get Rich, Got the Financial to the Workbook. I've written over 3 books on the stock market and finance. So I got a background in investment banking. So again, the Coin Act of 1965. Before 1965, the coins were made of 90% silver, whether it's a silver dollar, a dime, a nickel, a quarter. Right? You with me?
Yes, I am.
So before 1965, you had all the silver coins were worth 90%, 14 times its value. So a silver dime, which is 10 cents today, will be worth $1.40. A silver dollar will be worth $14 because at $20 an ounce per ounce price. Yeah. So I was gonna say after that, I forgot what I was gonna say. Hold on a second. Read the comment. Okay, I forgot what I was gonna say. I lost my train of thought, but that's a couple contradictions from the book.
Yeah, it seemed like it's going to be a good book to read. So y'all going out there and get that book from him. It's on Amazon. And what's the name of that book again?
Yeah, it's called the paperback just published. Let me see what's up with this. Let's see. It's other stuff. Hello?
I'm right here.
It's called Christianity or Paulanity: Contradictions in Paul's Writings Exposed by myself, Rabbi Lewis. So Paul's letters have been thoroughly debunked. Hello?
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. So hopefully this khutbah was edifying. Check the book out. It's $9.99. The paperback just published just now, but it takes a little while for it to show up in the Amazon store. So it'll probably be up in about 3 or 4 hours. But the ebook is already available.
All righty. So that's it. It's about to
On your Facebook, sis, I need you to send me the link to the video so I can download it.
All right, I got you.
All right, thanks a lot, Sister Kareem. It was an honor to be on your panel and speak to your audience. Inshallah, this was edifying. Islam.
All right, bye.